with acute lower back pain, meaning you've thrown your back out or you're having some severe back pain where you can't stand up straight, when you're dealing with problems when you've been sitting for a while or difficulty rolling over or getting out of bed, there's a couple things we need to take into account here. One is that ibuprofen and Aleve are not going to be very useful. We're not dealing with inflammation in this particular sense. We're dealing with pain. So the pain causes spasm, the spasm causes more pain. So in this particular case, extra strength Tylenol is actually going to be your best bet. Another mistake that people will make is using heat instead of ice. So again, we're dealing with pain. So when we put ice on something, we dull that pain, which slows down the spasms. Heat's actually going to bring more circulation to the area, which heats the tissue up, and it creates more spasm as well. So when you're in an acute phase, use ice. When it's more of a chronic issue, heat's going to be more of a best bet. So that's several weeks after you've had your incident. So another way to get out of acute lower back pain is by stretching certain specific muscles. So when you're having back pain, a lot of times it'll present kind of like this. You're walking around, you can't really move that well. Maybe one leg you can't put a lot of pressure on. We can't really stand up straight. So as you can tell, we're kind of bent over at the waist. So we don't really want to do any stretching where we're bending forward. So two really good ways to address this is by stretching the quads, which you'll notice the hip flexors have spasmed, and the calves as well. Because most of the time when we're having this presentation, we're on our toes, we're bent at the waist. So two basic stretches you've probably done since PE. We're going to go ahead and grab onto the thigh there, keeping our body upright. We hold this position, and it's really important to hold this stretch for a good 30 seconds. So I usually recommend 2 rounds of that, so I'll do each side twice in a row. So a 30-second hold, switch sides, 30-second hold. So the reason why we do 2 rounds is the first round you're still moving through the tissue and trying to loosen it. The second one we actually get a really good stretch. If we try to do a third round, the level of change from the second to third is not nearly as much as the first to the second. So think about doing a minute on each thigh. The second part of this is going to be a calf stretch. So there's 2 ways you can do this. One, you can take your foot and put it on an object like this. So I'm going to lock the knee out, I'm going to lift myself up, I'm going to pull my hip forward, I'm going to hold that stretch for 30 seconds. This is the better way, but if you don't have something that you can put the foot on and lock the knee out with, you can do the old school one where you stretch the leg back, lock the knee out, and try to stretch the calf that direction. So the third muscle that we do here is a lat stretch. So the lat stretch looks like this. I'll grab onto an object, I'm going to take that same leg back and sit my butt back. Once again, I want to stay in a protected stance here, but I want to stretch this muscle. So the reason why is the lat ties into the lower back as well. So if we're having some tightness there, by taking tension out of the lat, the quads, and the calves, a lot of times we can go back to standing up straight fairly quickly. And this will help you, along with the ice and the extra strength Tylenol, getting out of that acute phase of the lower back pain faster.